Hey guys, welcome back. I'm a couple days late to the party here, but I had to find time before Golden Hour was over to talk about the Summer House Season 9 reunion Part 1. I was so excited for this. I feel like the latter half of the season really gave, not even the latter half of the season, more like the last third of the episodes really gave what I wanted the entire season to give. And I feel like we're gonna have a lot to talk about in this reunion. Kind of off to a tame start in part 1, but I feel like Andy really teed up a lot of stuff for part 2. So let's just get into part 1. Let's see if we can do it before the sun sets. Right off the bat, this is one of the best reunion themes for a Bravo show that I have ever seen. The set is so beautiful. The pastel outfits, the decor, it's just like so nice to look at.
Oh my God. The bedbug's impact is truly amazing.
You wanted the bed.
Wait, this
you
is
got
so
the bed.
good. Oh, let's get into some goss.
Why are Amanda and Kyle in the first and second seats when they've literally had nothing to do all season? Like, I get it. Kyle is one of Andy's golden boys. Like, he's one of the favorites. And Amanda and Kyle are kind of like the bedrock of Summer House. But there is absolutely no reason why they needed to be first and second seat this year. I feel like if it was me, they would be like towards the back half of the couch, like next to Imrul. Like, they really had nothing to do this year. No tea, no shade, because normally they're involved in the drama because Kyle's calling Amanda a bitch for the 10th time. But yeah, that just very odd to me. It's just like, I'm kind of over Kyle being one of the favorites. Wes came to the reunion with notes so he would remember to actually speak this time. The exchange was really charming, like him saying he talked to himself in the mirror to like psych himself up and remind himself to speak. You can tell he's still like very cautious of the way that he comes off on TV. I feel like he's trying to be a lot more aware of his image, which it's like, it's never good when you can tell somebody's being like that, but I just feel like he probably has like friends and maybe a publicist in his ear telling him like, you need to turn up the charm and turn off the like controversialness because nobody wants that from you. Andy tells Paige that Craig seemed so caught off guard by the breakup, but Paige said that they've been having these conversations for almost a year. And then she even said that at one point they broke up last February, I think it was. So I think it was February 2024 for just like a weekend before they got back together again. And that, it's interesting that she never mentioned that on the show. I feel like that's just a sign about how like Paige really tries hard not to talk about her personal life on the show, and we never really hear about her issues until they're either solved or until like somebody basically forces her to talk about them. But that's crazy that we kind of didn't know that. She said they didn't discuss how they would handle the breakup in the press, but after they broke up, I guess because they broke up around Thanksgiving, I think it was. Around Christmas time, Craig went on vacation to Aspen, and I guess he was being photographed at bars hanging out with a bunch of girls, and Craig talked to him and was like, okay, I need to make a statement on the podcast because otherwise everybody's gonna think you're cheating and it's gonna be a huge mess. I liked Paige's statement on the podcast. I thought it was really mature. I thought it like gave us the information that we wanted to know without being inflammatory towards Craig. I felt like she went about it in a really mature way. Like, I definitely think Paige won the breakup. Not that, okay, it's immature of me to say that like somebody has to win a breakup, but like a breakup as public as this and where both parties clearly like do not like each other anymore, not even as friends, like there is sometimes a winner there, and I think Paige is the winner because Craig is like nonstop saying like bitchy things about her in the press, and like his fan base is so just toxic and honestly sexist. I mean, Craig is a massive sexist. I think he's been a sexist. Like the first time I saw him, I was like, you suck, you don't respect women. So it makes sense that his fan base is filled with a bunch of sexists. But yeah, I just think Paige came out of this looking better than he did. The engagement ring gets brought up because if you don't remember, Paige said that when she was in the process of breaking up with Craig, he said, oh, I really wish you hadn't done this before you saw the ring. Which, can I just say, is so manipulative. I'm so happy she didn't fall for that because a lesser woman would have fallen for that. That is such a manipulative and ugly thing to say. Oh, I wish you hadn't done this before you saw the ring. Go fuck yourself. Like, that is so lame. It's like, do you also think that Paige is so shallow that she would stay with you just because you bought her a big engagement ring? Already that's so lame. And then Paige also thinks that he never bought the ring and he's lying. I agree. I don't think he had a ring either. She said that he never asked her dad for permission, and she says that like he wasn't planning an engagement. It just caught her so off guard. Then Andy says that when Craig was on Watch What Happens Live, he told Andy that he had just returned the engagement ring that morning. And if you don't remember, when he was on Watch What Happens Live, like several months, I think it was like around that time, around the breakup, he showed up with a new girlfriend. Like, there were pictures of him with a new girl, and there was like a girl in the audience who was there with him. And Paige was like, okay, so what? He and his girlfriend returned the ring together that morning. And then Andy's like, well, why don't you ask Carl about returning engagement rings? And Carl's like, yeah, nobody takes engagement rings back, especially if they're custom. Like, allegedly, Craig got a custom ring for Paige. So nobody's buying it. Kyle and Lindsay were on Watch What Happens Live a couple of weeks ago, and they don't believe that he bought a ring either.
I mean, you had me at, do you believe Craig is telling the truth? Because the answer is no. You can't go a year without showing the ring to anybody. I know all of his friends, no one's seen the ring. So, I mean, like, do the math.
Yeah, come on. Like, this guy would have shown somebody a picture at some point. Like, there's no way.
Honestly, I'm just so happy that they're all kind of laughing about this situation and they're making fun of him. And it just seems like Paige is so over it at this point. She doesn't care. I feel like she literally just wants Craig to like stop talking about it in the press, and she wants everybody to move on. I'm kind of surprised we really don't spend a lot of time on the breakup. It seems like in the preview for the next episode, they kind of return to it, but that's it for now. Really, the bulk of this episode is about Wes and Ciara. So Andy moves on to Wes and Ciara, who honestly, I think, like, put Wes next to Paige and then put Ciara on the other couch first chair, honestly. I think Ciara could have been up there first chair easy. But anyway, they get to Wes and Ciara. Wes said that he thought he and Ciara would be more cordial that summer, but he didn't realize the damage that the article he put out with the New York Times did to Ciara. And he's kind of going just the like dog with his tail between his legs route. He was like, I said a bunch of stupid stuff that was just deflecting, and then this is where he messes up. He goes, I said a bunch of stupid stuff that was just deflecting, and like the hate that I got from the fans was a lot. I feel like don't get me wrong, like don't be commenting on strangers' Instagrams, spreading hate and like sending death threats and doing crazy things. You don't know these people. Like, if you do that, you're insane. Don't do that. But the fact that, like, in his apology to Ciara, he's bringing up the hate that he's getting from fans, it just reveals that a lot of his actions right now and a lot of his remorse is just really fueled by, like, getting hate and like how he wants to be perceived well by the public. He really cares about what people think about him, and it's hard to differentiate, like, okay, how much of this is you genuinely being sorry and how much of this is just that you want to look good in front of the Summer House fans. Do you know what I mean? He says regarding the New York Times article, if you don't remember, he put out a New York Times article basically just doing a tell-all about the relationship and the breakup, and it was very, very hurtful towards Ciara. He was like, I thought I was just describing a breakup in general, and I thought I wasn't getting too intimate, but I watched the season back and I understand why it was hurtful. And then he says sorry. And this entire time, did you notice this too? They cut to Ciara and she like cannot hold eye contact with him. Like, it's clear she's very hurt. She's looking at him for a second, then looking away, then looking a second, then looking away. Like, you can just tell that she's very, very hurt. And it sucks because at this point it's been a year and I just want to be like, ugh, Ciara, get up. Like, it makes me so sad that she's not more over him. But then in like a second, we learn more about her family dynamics and her dynamics with her parents, and I think it explains a lot. So, okay, first, Andy asks her if she thinks that swatting Wes's arm away when they were first getting to the house in the beginning of the summer and Wes tried to hug her was a little extra. And Ciara was like, no. She was like, Jesse literally yelled at me and told me not to touch him, but I can't like gently move Wes's arm away. Like, no way. And I like agree with Ciara. She was like, I gently moved his arm away. I didn't swat his arm away. So I'm glad that she corrected him on that because it wasn't that aggressive. Apparently on one of those first nights after Ciara called him a fucking loser at dinner, do you remember when I think Kyle was just like, what do you think of Wes? And Ciara was like, well, he's a fucking loser. Apparently after she said that, Wes left the table for 20 minutes and they show the unaired footage of like him getting up and leaving and everybody else is literally just chatting for 20 minutes. Then he comes back like head down. I mean, he is like it's so crazy because for him, it's like, I think he was in the wrong to like do all of this stuff to Ciara, reveal so much information about her and things like that. But it's like, it's been a year, like, I almost think he should stop caring so much too. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think both of them need to kind of let it go. And I know that's hard when you work with this person, you have to see them, but like, you only have to see them for the summer. It's like you take the rest of the year off, you don't have to see them for like, what, 9 months? You only have to see them during a 3-month filming period. So it's like, I kind of wish both of them would just like, let it go. Like, stop interacting with each other. Stop following each other on social media. Like, Wes needs to stop pursuing a friendship with Ciara when it's so clear that's not what she wants. Like, just leave her alone. Stop talking to her. Be friends with other people. There are like 8 other people in this house. Do you agree? You know what I mean? Then Jesse tries to defend Wes after they were like making fun of him for leaving the table. And he was like, no. Wes normally has a lot to say. He just doesn't have a lot to say when he's caught off guard. And Ciara's like, well, he has so much to say to the media, so if he can talk to the media, he can talk to my face. Yeah, good for you. I'm not buying that either. What do you mean Wes doesn't have a lot to say when he's caught off guard? Like, he knows how to speak English. Like, that's so dumb. Then Andy asks what was going on with Ciara's family when all of this was happening, because I think she had alluded in the past to like, oh, so much was going on with my family, and then also this breakup with Wes was happening, and it was a lot. And this, I think, revealed so much about Ciara. I think Ciara is also like, she's not quite in Paige territory where she's so guarded we don't know anything about her, but I definitely think we don't know a lot about her in general, and I think part of that is the show's fault for not focusing on her a lot. But she says that towards the end of her relationship with Wes, her mom got married again. And her mom has apparently been married a few times, and she didn't have a good relationship with her dad, Ciara. And she said that when her mom got married again, I think it was around the holidays, she just didn't have the energy to get to know someone new. And she was like crying. Like, this is very clearly like a point of contention for her. And Wes said that when her mom got married again, around that time, it was an important time in their relationship. And I guess she just turned her phone off for 2 weeks. And then Ciara comes in and is like, I went on a retreat to Costa Rica for 2 weeks. I wanted to forget that it was Christmas. I wanted to forget that it was my birthday. And I didn't want Wes to think that he had an obligation to be there for me or to invite me to things. That is so sad. That was so sad to hear. Like, I don't know, just to think that like the only way she wanted to spend her holidays and her birthday was like alone. I think that's so revealing. Like, that's really tough. The holidays are a tough time of year for many people. It's like rates of depression like go up during the holidays always. Like, it just made me really sad to think that. And like, so Wes says that he feels like she was shutting her out. She was shutting him out during that time. And then Andy asks a great question. This was the exact question I was thinking, and Andy answers it. He goes, you know, do you think that watching your mom and the way that she is in relationships kind of affected the way you are in your relationships? And Ciara was like, yeah, I feel like I'm hard on my mom because she deserves this great love, but she just always accepts subpar. And she says it's why I'm very cautious and why I don't move fast in relationships. Wow. Yeah, this whole thing was so revealing. Like, Ciara also says, I think she just doesn't have a relationship with her dad at all. I think he was kind of in and out out, but he never was curious about her. Like, he never cared to really get to know her. Yeah, just really sad. I feel like it makes sense to me, like, why she was so hurt by Wes. Like, she watches her mom get hurt. She herself was hurt by a man in her life, her dad. Like, this is all kind of making sense to me. And I think it also makes sense to me why, like, Ciara, it seems to me like she has a hard time being alone. Like, she really wants somebody. She's talked about that before. She really wants somebody. So it makes sense to me why, like, she is like searching so hard to find somebody, but then at the same time, she's so scared to let other people in. I don't know. This explained a lot. I'm glad we talked about this. And then Wes says that the way Ciara talks about her future, he just wasn't ready for that when they were dating. And it's like, yeah, that is like a reasonable reason to end something with somebody. Like, it's very clear that Ciara wants something serious and Wes is unprepared to give that to her. I think it maybe took him too long to realize that, because it kind of took him all of last summer, when I kind of feel like that's something you could suss out in, I mean, what, the first couple weeks, the first month? Like, I feel like that's not hard to figure out. I do think he was leading her on a bit. I don't think he can play completely innocent here. But yeah, we kind of end with that. And then Imrul gets brought in. What's going on with Imrul? What is going on with that? Because I'm like 100% certain he came in as a full-time cast member. But I feel like in post-production, they demoted him to friend of. I think, like, if you were to just see what his actual status is, it's probably friend of, even though he was brought on as a series regular. And they do sort of talk about this. First, I mean, Andy immediately asks him about, like, the sex parties that he talked about when he was first introduced. I rolled my eyes, I'm not gonna lie. I am so bored of talking about Imrul's sex life. It's all we talk about. And if you, like, I don't even follow Imrul on social media, but I see some of the stuff that he posts. And if you look at the stuff he posts, it's so clear that he's like such a three-dimensional person, and he's very smart and he's really interesting. I think his background being Bengali is really interesting. Lord knows we don't have a lot of people of color on this show. We don't have a lot of men of color on this show. And it's like, we barely got into that. Like, I'm just so bored of it. But he basically says, he's like, you know, my whole life isn't going to orgies. I know that's what I kind of made it seem like on the show, and maybe that's my fault, but really I'm an orgy novice. I'm not an orgy master. And he's like, you know, I only brought girls back 4 times over the whole summer, which is so, I was surprised when he said that, because everybody else in the house was making it seem like he was bringing girls back like every weekend. And don't they literally film for like 12 weeks? Andy asks if his family has seen the show, and Imrul says that his brother, so his parents haven't seen the show, they live in Bangladesh, but his brother had a birthday party for his son, so Imrul's nephew, and his brother's wife, Imrul's sister-in-law's family, saw the show, and they're very religious. Imrul's family is Muslim, he's not religious. He said his brother didn't care. His brother was like, whatever, like, you know, it doesn't matter to me. But I guess Imrul's sister-in-law's family was like, this guy cannot come to my grandchild's birthday party. And so his brother was like, listen, like, I don't care, but I don't think you can come to this party. That was awful. Like, that was really sad. They kind of like glazed over it, but like everybody on the couch was kind of like, ooh, like that sucks. I mean, this is something that I think about a lot. I'm Lebanese, and whenever I see like either a Middle Eastern person or just somebody else from a conservative culture, I know Imrul is not Middle Eastern, he's South Asian, similar cultures. But whenever I see like a Middle Eastern person or somebody from a conservative culture going on these reality shows and like getting freaky, like, I mean, I've seen so many like Middle Eastern and Muslim people on Love Island. I see so many people of color on these like Bravo shows where they're like kissing and having sex and doing all this stuff. I always wonder what the family thinks, and I feel like this is the first time it's been discussed in the reunion. I mean, it really sucks to hear that Imrul's sister's family had so much control over the situation where he couldn't get invited to his nephew's birthday party. But at the same time, it's like, I'm not surprised that there were some family members who were really not okay with it. Like, my family is very liberal for Lebanese people, but I mean, if I was on one of these shows like talking about sex and getting up to the stuff that like Imrul talks about getting up to, I wouldn't be like excommunicated from the family, and it doesn't sound like Imrul is like that either, but I mean, a lot of my family members would be pissed for sure. I definitely would keep it a secret from my parents. I wouldn't tell them that I was on a show like that. So it's like, I get it. Like, that was something I could relate to, and it just sucks. Lexi said they could have done a better job of asking questions about who Imrul was as a person, and she says there's obviously more to him than being an orgy beast. But then she was like, well, at the same time, like, between all of the girls you were bringing over, it was kind of hard to talk about anything else. I don't really know if I believe her. It's not hard to like, it's not like he was with a girl all the time. He was bringing girls over when everybody else was asleep. So like, I don't know if I believe this excuse like, oh, we wanted to get to know you, but you were just bringing over so many girls. It's like, yeah, he was bringing girls over at like 3 a.m. after all the guys got home from the club, and like all of you didn't even go out. You were in the house sleeping, and you've already been sleeping for like 6 hours. So like, I don't know if I buy that. I honestly just think that on the cast's part, there was just a genuine disinterest in getting to know Imrul. And I think honestly, Imrul, like very soon after getting on the show, realized that he kind of didn't care about being on the show. So I don't think he was trying very hard either. Then we get into Lexi and Jesse. And Jesse talks about how he has not told anybody that he loves them since his first love in high school, which we knew. He talked about that before. Andy asks about the toe sucking. And Jesse immediately starts making jokes about it. So Jesse's like, oh, well, when I walked into the room, the girls were really happy to see me. And everybody like starts laughing. He was apparently in the room for 37 minutes. And Imrul said that everybody in the room was naked except for Jesse. And I guess Jesse like just got in the bed with them, just general like sex pest stuff. And Andy points out, he's like, like, we're all laughing, like, this is really funny, but I just want to point out that everybody thinks this is funny except for Lexi. And Lexi's sitting on the couch and she's like, yeah, I don't think it's funny. Lexi says that it was sketchy that Jesse completely lied to her about that situation, which I agree. It's definitely very sketchy for the guy you're dating to lie to you about like a sexual situation that he was in with other people. And Jesse apologizes. And Lexi goes, like, I would think that you got a blowjob in there. And then Imrul goes, no, it was just a toe suck. I promise it was just a toe suck. Do I believe that it was just a toe suck? I feel like yes, because I don't know if Jesse's the kind of man who would want to get a blowjob in front of another guy. Like, Imrul is definitely open-minded like that and like free-spirited, but I honestly don't think that Jesse is that type. I think Jesse would super be down for a threesome with 2 other women, but Jesse just doesn't seem like the kind who wants to be doing stuff with another guy in the room, especially like one of his friends. Then Lexi says that watching Ciara and Jesse when they were flirting in the pool at the party on the day that Lexi wasn't there was crazy. And then Ciara just goes like, we've done worse. And then Andy's like, what are you talking about? What have you done worse? And Ciara was like, well, last summer we kissed. And I was watching that and I was like, they kissed? Like, when did they kiss? And then they show a flashback to that summer. And it's not like they kissed. It was like they had a fight, they made up. And then Amanda was like, now kiss. And then they show them kissing and it's literally like that. It's like a closed mouth, like that. Which honestly, I think what they were doing in the pool was worse. Because what they were doing in the pool was like genuine flirtiness. This is like not a hot kiss. That's a very like chaste, like you see girls, like 2 straight women kiss each other at bars a lot more like sexily than that. You know what I mean? Then Andy asks like, Ciara, do you actually take Jesse's flirting seriously? Like, would you hook up with him? And Ciara's like, if I wanted to hook up with Jesse, I would have done it before this summer to spite Wes, which honestly fair. And Andy's like, ouch, Jesse, does that hurt to hear her say that? And Jesse's like, no, she said worse. And then they start flirting on the couch a little bit. Like, honestly, here's the thing. I don't think Ciara wants to hook up with Jesse. I think Ciara would have to be really, really drunk to hook up with Jessie. Jessie's stone cold sober. He's ready to do it right now if she wants. But Ciara would have to be so drunk. But I think Ciara really likes the attention, and I think Jessie really likes the attention. And I think that's where this flirting is coming from. They're two attention-starved people who want attention from the opposite sex, and that's what they do for each other. Lexi also says that it hurt to watch that episode back and see Amanda saying that Ciara and Jessie should date. And then Amanda was like, well, in my mind, it was so unrealistic that it was almost an alternate universe. Which is like, do I believe that? I don't know. It's like, do you believe her when she says that? Like, it's so unrealistic that it was almost an alternate universe. No, I just think you weren't close with Lexi by that point, and you were drunk, and you were just kind of talking, and you were like, they should date. Like, I kind of do think Amanda thinks Ciara and Jessie should date, and that was just like this excuse that she came up with. Paige is like, listen, don't look at me. I warned you not to date him, which was, if you remember at Snooze Fest, she was telling Lexi, she's like, if you're already having this bad of a time with Jessie like 1 month in, you should walk away, which, I mean, she was right, and she was right at that time. Ciara says that when Lexi was on her press tour, she made it apparent that she was coming for her. And they show a clip of Lexi on some podcast with a guy saying that he felt like Ciara and Jessie were posting pictures on Instagram together to rub it in Lexi's face. And then Lexi was like, oh, well, I'm not surprised because I had a birthday party and I invited everybody, but Ciara and Jessie didn't respond and they hung out that day instead. Which is like, I'm sorry, ouch, that sucks. That would break my heart. That would make me so sad. I mean, I do think she's over him, like, in general, but, like, ouch, September, she said her birthday was, like, September 22nd. That's kind of soon after the summer. Like, that would hurt my feelings. I'd be really upset. But Ciara says, like, Ciara and Jessie are just kind of like, what are you talking about? Ciara's like, you're creating a narrative that me and Jessie are something more when we're not. And Lexi's like, what are you talking about? Like, you posted a story. Jessie posted a story on the day of my birthday party. And then it was so clear. She was like, I thought Jessie was on a date, but then he tagged you. Like, you and him were at brunch. And then Ciara's like, well, no, like, we did have a brunch, but I didn't know it was your birthday. And Ciara just keeps saying, like, you're creating a narrative in the media that me and Jessie skipped your birthday party on purpose. And Ciara's like, listen, I don't know when your birthday is. And poor Lexi, she's sitting there and she's like, I sent out an invitation. Like, she's like, so I think she's just really sad that they didn't respond to her birthday party invitation, which is like, I agree. I would also be sad. I get so anxious around my birthday every single year because I get so worried that I'm going to invite a ton of people and nobody's going to come. Every single year I have that anxiety. So I get it. And then Ciara's like, well, why would I go to your birthday party when you're creating all of these narratives in the media about me and Jessie, like, trying to rub our friendship in your face? I'm trying to decide who I believe. It's hard for me to think that, like, Ciara and Jessie are so nefarious that, like, they would be like, oh, haha, let's skip this and go out to lunch instead because fuck Lexi. Like, I don't think that Ciara and Jessie are in cahoots like that. I mean, what do you think? Like, do you think that was a purposeful dig at Lexi? I don't think so. I do think, though, Ciara's kind of trying to pretend like she never got that invitation. I do think she got it. I just think she got it and immediately was like, well, I don't want to go to this, and just didn't respond because Ciara's the type, definitely, to, like, ghost somebody she doesn't like. And I think Jessie probably saw it and was like, well, you know, of course I'm not. Like, he and Lexi probably already were not speaking. I think Lexi just sent it to a big group chat that all of them were in. So I think if Jessie was as in love with Lexi as he's claiming, I think Jessie knew that it was the day of her birthday party, and maybe he just didn't say anything, or he told Ciara on the day. But I do think that Ciara genuinely did not know that it was Lexi's birthday, and I think she doesn't care. I think, like, even if she knew, she wouldn't have wanted to go. But I do think she got the invitation and was just like, no, I don't want to go. And because it was a big group chat, it's not like she needed to respond. She just didn't say anything, and she immediately forgot about it. And then we end there. So kind of a tame first part. part, nothing crazy happens. It does look like in the next part we get more into Lindsay's life. I mean, Lindsay pretty much didn't say anything this entire first part. We also get into Amanda and Kyle and what's going on in their relationship. And then it seems like we get more into Paige's breakup. It kind of seemed like she was talking about it more. So yeah, overall, solid, like nothing crazy, but good first start. I'm kind of surprised they started right off the bat with like Wes and Ciara, but I mean, if they're trying to make Lexi and Jesse be like the main event, maybe it makes sense they're kind of saving it for last. If you missed it, I uploaded my recap of The Valley Season 2, Episode 7 on the channel a couple days ago, so go check that out. And then I'm also, in the coming days, going to be uploading my recap of Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, Episodes 2 and 3. I'm gonna do them in one. And then Love Island is coming up. I think Love Island US and UK are coming up at the exact same time. I don't know why they do this. I really wish they would stagger them, but I'm definitely gonna be covering that on the channel. I'm gonna see how we're gonna do it. I most likely will not do every episode. I cannot film a YouTube video every single day for 60 days straight, along with everything else I have to do. So I'm gonna see what I'll do. I maybe if like nothing happens in an episode, I can combine it with something else. Maybe I'll do like a couple episodes a week. I don't know. Maybe I'll do like a weekly roundup. I don't know. I have to like work it out. Let me know if you have a specific format you'd like me to follow, because you know they do an episode every single day, which is different than the weekly little videos I put out. It's gonna make this look like child's play. But until I figure that out, thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next time.